I think that a lot of organizations see the promise of AI and say, oh, we don't have to worry about that data centralization problem anymore. We have this thing that's going to magically go do it. Data is that fuel for artificial intelligence, and we can't just skip over the challenging parts of trying to make data work together and expect that we're going to get really good outcome. Organizations struggle to get there because there's a mass of just unstructured, really difficult to clean up data to make that happen. The more data that you layer on top of, the more false positives you get to scrape out of that hypothesis that you're talking about.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Rebel TA podcast. I'm here with Ike Benion. Ike is the VP of Product at Visier. What's up, Ike?
Hey, what's up? Good to be here.
I'm so stoked. We were chatting a little in the pre-show about people analytics and all of the great work you're up to at Visier. So tell us, where are you based? What are you working on?
Yeah, so I'm in San Diego, California. So we are working on moving from just the, hey, we're telling you what's going on in your workforce, your organization, which we're known for, to more towards how do we help managers to have a better view into work and to form and shape the right decisions based on the data that we're seeing in an organization, so that you get not just what's managerial practice on a very generalized level to what is good management in X corporation that's working in retail in North America versus Europe. And so managers can just be more effective to help people to drive towards business outcomes at scale.
Awesome. I think about post-hire outcomes and the efficacy of data in the recruiting process. How do you think recruiters can partner with their people analytics team to predict good hires?
So there's a massive opportunity, like we were talking about in the pre-show, is the big challenge with TA is that there's this huge opportunity, so much that you can get in terms of who's a good hire, where do we typically get those from, what sorts of profiles do they have? But a lot of organizations struggle to get there because there's a mass of just unstructured, really difficult to clean up data to make that happen. So people analytics teams are the people who deal with that sort of thing every day. They have the tools, they have the people. And so I would encourage TA teams to definitely reach out so that you know, hey, when we need to get this type of role, how long is it going to take us? Where do we need to typically look? What types of companies are these people typically at? Because you can actually unlock those things that might seem unachievable through data that you already have.
I also think about data about companies for the time that an individual was there. And it's almost like, okay, if you worked at X company and the company was at this growth trajectory, there were this number of employees, we can infer that you made impact X or your counterpart made impact Y. Is that on the mark?
So I mean, yeah, that's the beauty and the struggle of analytics, is that the more data that you layer on top of, the more false positives you get to scrape out of that hypothesis that you're talking about. And so ultimately, yes, I wish we're doing a lot more to create a sense of like what companies there are out there, what types of opportunities people are doing. We're doing a lot with skills, and we have skills partners like TechWolf and Lightcast that help us to have that better data to answer some of those questions that you're talking about. But really the awesome opportunity with analytics is you bring more data, you get to answer more questions. And so it's the question of how do you get that more data and who do you partner with to make it real? But actually, no, as crazy as you might think it is for you to say it out loud, I think it's actually a thing that people could unlock.
The average recruiting and HR team has more than 10 tools in their stack. How do you think about data integrity across such a diversified API network?
Yeah, talent acquisition is uniquely challenging for that. I always call talent acquisition the platform oriented practice within HR, because each way that even an organization is hiring, you have people within schools that you're targeting, executives, volume, specialized technical hire, that can all exist within just a single company. And so, yeah, 10 is, even by my estimation, would probably be a low number. There's lots within an organization, at least I feel like.
Totally.
And so I think the way to think about data integrity is first to ask the question early. And so how do you get the right construction of that data? So what that could mean in practice is, do we collect this field about a candidate that we think is trivial? And because we think it's trivial today, it doesn't mean, though, if you stack it with other data that it becomes valuable down the line. And so you can't reverse course and try and rewind 6 months ago to say, oh, dang, I wish I had this trend and I wish we were collecting this data 6 months ago. It's important to say, hey, I think that these are the things that are really important for us to know to have a better data-driven strategy and start to implement those things today across those 10 systems that you're using internally, so that when you do start to put these together into a centralized place where you can drive insight, that you actually do have the right things that you want to drive outcomes in your talent acquisition funnel. So I guess what I'm saying is it's fundamentally a problem of time. Like, you wish you would have started yesterday, what you're finally realizing you want to do today.
And that's the efficiency that LLMs and artificial intelligence will drive. Is it allows us to do things in the recruiting lens, like research, faster. If I'm thinking about that as a recruiting practitioner, that allows me to have more recs worked, more candidates spoken to that are going to have a higher signal through noise, and give me more at bats to become a better recruiter, because I'm working faster to do the research, to get me to the conversation, to get me to the hiring manager submit, and get me into those offer conversations within a matter of maybe 2 weeks versus potentially 2 months.
So I agree there. And it's the way that I would maybe reframe what you're saying, and I've been saying over and over while I've been here, is contextualization. So if you provide really good data to an AI in like a spirit of partnership, I know that sounds weird because it feels like I'm anthropomorphizing AI, but you can get back really good insight. So for instance, when I'm hiring, I actually tell the AI what I'm looking for, what are the unique challenges my team has, that sort of thing. And then when I actually get candidates, I brainstorm with my AI what I need to ask in order to really get to what is going to be the make or break for a particular candidate I'm looking at. So if I'm putting myself into the shoes of a recruiter, like, yeah, if I'm especially doing really key hires like technical specialized talent and executives, I would have contextualization as the name of the game. How do I make it feel really personal to them? And I'm asking the right questions to suss out who's the right fit and who's not.
Do you say please and thank you to your AI?
I should, so that I'm spared when the great robot uprising happens. But I also read that article that's like, so many kilotons of CO2 is emitted just from using please and thank you. And so it's this funny, like, do I not?
Oh man, we could have an entire show on the environmental ethics of artificial intelligence.
So
But let's go back to the data integrity piece. So when it comes to adding AI and agentic AI on top of already a fragmented stack, that scares me from a data integrity perspective. So how are you thinking about AI washing for the sake of just saying, yes, we're doing the AI?
So I think that we're approaching the top of a hype cycle, to borrow the phrase from Gartner, that everyone sees all these things that I can do with artificial intelligence. And so therefore, if I just go do the technical work, it's going to happen. But I think you hit on what is the really key point of all of this, which is data. Like, all these LLMs have done is gotten good at pattern recognition within language data. And so if we are now putting that on top of all these other systems of data and just expecting them to be able to understand, oh, do I have the right context from this database? Do I understand all the other places that might be reporting conflicting information that's similar to this piece of data? Do I understand the clarity, the cleansing of this data before I, as an LLM, accessed it? I think we're making a dangerous assumption about what we can use. And so I think that a lot of organizations see the promise of AI and say, oh, we don't have to worry about that data centralization problem anymore. We have this thing that's going to magically go do it. But the problem is it's like feeding bad fuel to your car and expecting your car to go perform really well. Data is that fuel for artificial intelligence. And we can't just skip over the challenging parts of trying to make data work together and expect that we're going to get really good outcomes. So I think you're spot on in that there's some real risks that people are running by just trying to peanut butter and artificial intelligence on top of all the problems that they're seeing in their data.
The interesting thing that you mentioned about the Gartner hype cycle is we're at the trough of disillusionment, and you talk about peak hype cycle. I thought we were headed a little bit more towards the slope of enlightenment,
Okay.
and now I think we've backtracked. ChatGPT has almost been available for 3 years now. I was expecting us to live in a little bit more of a scientific future, and it seems largely the same. It's almost like diet AI. How do you think about where we're at in terms of hype, excitement, product evolution, and the nascent state of AI?
No, it's a really good point. And I think it's because we've entered a new phase of artificial intelligence. So I won't argue with you that when we think about when Chat GPT came out and we're like, oh my gosh, I can have it write me in a scene from Harry Potter and read that to my kids sort of use case that, yeah, we saw like, oh, this is amazing. Then, oh, okay, it doesn't do everything that I quite thought it would do. And then coming out into enlightenment where people are starting to use it more en masse for the right types of solutions that are repeatable over time. I think we're now to the point where everyone's talking about this promise of agents, which is AI working more autonomously, not just to be in a creative generative state. And I think that's where a lot of this rub is going to be, and where what we see out on the floor with HR tech is that everyone's like, oh, all these mundane things that you do every day can all of a sudden be automated. And so I think that when I say the top of the hype cycle, I think that's where we are with a specific type of artificial intelligence.
Got it.
And just like what we were talking about with data, is I think that they're going to see the bubble prick and they're like, oh, wait, there's a lot more work to this, a lot more thinking that we need to be strategic about to really realize the promise. And so I don't disagree with you on the LLM, just basic generic vanilla stuff. But I think into this new phase where we're really trying to drive new optimizations, I think that there's still some learning that we need to do.
It's that peak of inflated expectation where it's really exciting to think about these whiteboard thesis ideas for the application of machine learning into people analytics. Humans are very unpredictable. We know that. How do you think about people analytics becoming more predictive through agentic AI and the work that you're doing in Visier?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think it's an awesome opportunity because we've even built models ourselves based on ML where we can look at attributes, about 40 of them, both in the community of data that we have in that aggregated set that we've used with permission, as well as the specific tenant environment, so meaning within a corporation. And we combine those two together to say, oh, it's likely that these people are going to leave, and these are the reasons that we think why. And so imagine now you don't have to have a data science team going through and thinking through every metric that could contribute to that end result. And now artificial intelligence can just zip through all of that. Like, yeah, now any organization can think about what they want to predict for and why that's important to their end business outcome. And through data, get that answer. And I think it's now a matter of question. Like if you go look at the World Economic Forum, the thing that they put at the top of their list for skills is analytic reasoning. And I think that's the reason why. It's like, great, now we have a lot of data, but are we smart enough now to be able to use that predictive index I got back from an AI and apply it the right way within an organization?
I think it's important to be discerning when you're a buyer to recognize AI washing. How do you think about AI washing and define it?
So I think about it as we just applied AI either at the fringes, so use cases that don't really get to the core of what a company is really trying to achieve. If I'm trying to improve the time for a candidate to go from first touch to end of cycle, but I've got something like, oh, I'm going to check your job descriptions. Sure, that's a valuable thing that you are getting as a part of that value proposition, but it's not the thing you hired the company for. So that's one form where people are kind of going off in adjacencies. They're not really hitting at the core problem. And then the second one, I think, is kind of just using old-fashioned algorithms like the AI 1.0, 2.0, and saying it's LLM. And really what it is like you're just operating those old systems with a little tiny bit of LLM on the top so it seems smarter. And I think where organizations need to ask questions on that is who else is using this? What sort of outcomes are they achieving? And then if I have nuances in my use cases like this, and this, because we're a special snowflake like every company is, how is my AI, how is your AI going to perform with that? Because I think that's where that AI washing breaks down, is when you start to get to the unique nuance of organizations, of candidates, of hiring funnels, and where an organization has tried, or a vendor has tried to just cut the corner. It'll be fine, is where I think organizations are going to start to see a little bit of disillusionment with what they buy.
Last question. What question do you wish buyers were asking you at the Visier booth?
It's a good question. I wish that buyers were asking us, well, I'm a platform guy, and so I'm always going to be like all about the data because I don't think you can shortcut your way out of the problems that you have with data with AI. You're losing opportunity. So I think that's the one. It's kind of a nerdy one. But I also think, what is the future way to think about work? Like, I think that we're trying to just optimize what's currently in front of us. I think we've missed the opportunity to actually transform it, to reimagine the process that even got up to an artificial intelligence, to maximize it for what it was built for. Like, I think that we're losing opportunity by just saying, oh, if I just apply an AI to this old process that I have, it's going to make it better. It's going to change the way I work. I don't think that's going to happen. We're trying to think about how work itself is going to change as a result of AI, which I think is really cool.
I love that. That's what I'm excited about. Let's get back to rebuilding. Ike, thanks for coming on the show. How can people stay in touch with you?
Find me on LinkedIn. I think Ike Bennion. I think I'm the only one. So just search for me.
Awesome. Thanks, dude.